Hey everybody, welcome to the Real United States and welcome back to our kitchen. Here a while ago we were in Philadelphia and did a video there, and one of our viewers, Christopher Moody, commented, and in the course of this was asking about whether we're going to do any other delicacies from Philadelphia, and asked perhaps if we would do something on Scrapple. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Scrapple, we'll get to that in a minute, but we decided, hey, this sounded like a pretty good idea because this is kind of an interesting thing that's maybe not as widely known in other parts of the country and certainly in other parts of the world as it is here in the northeastern United States. So yeah, Christopher, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. And so Scrapple, what the heck is a Scrapple? Well, Scrapple is it's kind of like a terrine in a way, but it is a loaf made out of pork bits, whence the name Scrapple. It's made from the scraps that were left over on butchering day, and cornmeal. So you could think of it sort of like polenta. It's got cornmeal as a binding agent. Sometimes it uses flour. Traditionally, some recipes call for buckwheat flour. But this is the binding agent that holds this finely ground or minced pork bits together in a loaf. Now, this came to us here in the United States. It is of German descent. This came out of the central German region of Europe, and before that, it may date back even to Roman period. But certainly, as we understand it today, Scrapple, or Panhas, as they call it, pan rabbit, and still is called that in Germany, as I understand, and in some German markets here in the United States, it's called that, is basically this loaf, like say, of cornmeal and very finely minced pork bits. Now, they would use all the little pieces on when they were butchering, you know, the head, the cheek meat and all the meat off the head. Sometimes they would use the organ meats like the liver or things like that. Nowadays, if you're going to cook it at home, it's kind of hard to come by a pig head. And it's not impossible, certainly in rural parts of the country or if you live near a slaughterhouse. But for most people, it's kind of hard to come by a hog's head. So most recipes now call for a pork butt. And in the next episode, we're actually going to show you how to do that. But today I just wanted to talk about purchased, manufactured Scrapple. Now, there are probably a half dozen different brands here in the United States. The one that's here available in southern Maryland is Papa, and this is Scrapple. Comes in a little block like such, and it's this kind of gray-looking terrine-like loaf. You see little black specks in it from the seasoning and the herbs, and it's it's firm-ish, but because this doesn't really use a binder like gelatin or anything, you got to handle it kind of carefully when you're cooking it, I understand. Now, here's the thing. This is the regular, and you can also buy it with bacon. We got one of those too. And there are some other varieties actually available on the market that have hot peppers in them, like cayenne or whatever. And I think I saw one other one. So there are probably as many different Scrapple recipes as there are cooks making it. But these are the ones that are predominantly available in the area we're in, so we're going to go with those. Now, because of the fact this is a German origin dish, that's why its popularity in this part of the world. When the German immigrants came and settled in the United States, many of the Amish folks settled in Pennsylvania, and whence they're often called the Pennsylvania Dutch, which is a misnomer. It was an anglicization, that's a tough word to say, of the Pennsylvania Deutsch. So that's how they ended up as the Pennsylvania Dutch. But anyway, the Amish folks brought these recipes with them, and it was very popular in this area. And that's why Scrapple's often associated with Philadelphia, but it's certainly associated with this whole area: Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, And the Delmarva Peninsula, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's the large peninsula that separates the Delaware Bay and the Chesapeake Bay, and is divided between the states of Delaware and Maryland. So this region is where this is probably the most popular here in the United States. Now, I'm going to go ahead and basically and by the way, for this particular brand at least, the instructions are right here on the package, how to slice it, how to fry it, how long, all that kind of good stuff. I've never had this. This is going to be a new experience for me. Bev, on the other hand, comes from a long tradition of scrapple makers. Her family is largely of German descent. And this is something that they made at home when she was a child. So when we get into the next episode where we're making this, I'll be able to share a little bit more about that perhaps. But she's familiar with this. She swears that it's very, very good, although she also tells me that the manufactured is not really as good as the homemade stuff. But then what is, you know? But pretty simple. And this is often used as a breakfast meat, either in place of or with, as a complement to, eggs for breakfast. But I've also seen that a lot of people fry this and make it into sandwiches. So I suppose it doesn't, you know, you don't have to get locked into the idea of this is for a particular time of day. And this is all very foreign to me, folks, so. But hey, I'm an adventurous fellow. Now this is the regular. I don't know that if the manufacturer colors this or not. A lot of Scrapple recipes call for the organ meats, like liver, which will give it this sort of a color. It does smell like a bit like pork sausage, ground pork, you know, like you make into pork patties for breakfast. It's essentially already cooked, but you have to pan fry this. Now, one of the eccentricities about this, by the way, that I wasn't aware of until I got instruction from my wife, was that you don't put anything in the pan. I was going to put some olive oil in there. You know, I always oil the pan. Nope. Just warm the pan. Go ahead, put this in. Takes about 8 minutes per side. You cut it about 3/8 of an inch thick, fry it, and then it'll be served with toast, or a lot of people have it as a sandwich just on white bread. And we're actually going to do both kinds. So, assuming I do not eviscerate myself with this knife that I'm not accustomed to working with, which could be sharper, folks. This is not the sharpest knife in the world. I know it's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. It's really not in this case. I know, and you thought I was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Oh, well. Anyway. Well, nicely vacuum sealed. This is in the refrigerator case at the local grocer where you get luncheon meats and things like that. There we have our bacon scrapple. They look identical to me, but this is supposed to have bacon in it. Let's take a sniff on this one. Oh yeah, it's definitely got bacon in it. Nice. So, pretty simple. Heat the pan up on medium heat. And about 3/8 of an inch. Now this is holding together better than I had anticipated, considering it's only using cornmeal. And I'm going to cut off a couple of slices of this because Beverly's going to have some too, whether she knows it or not. If I've got to eat it, she's got to eat it. Now the bacon. Now she tells me on the manufactured brand that the bacon stuff is remarkably better than the plain. So it seems to hold together reasonably well. Doesn't look like polenta, but again, in terms of culinary construction, that's probably the easiest way to think about it. So 2 plain, 2 bacon. Pan's getting hot. I'll go ahead and put these in. You can hear it starting to sizzle already. Plain in the front, bacon in the back. Set my timer for 8 minutes. And in 8 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip these over, cook it for another 8 minutes, and then we'll take it out, show it to you, and see what it tastes like. We'll be right back. Okay, so our timer has gone off, and it's time to turn this off and go ahead and take our Scrapple out of the pan. Now, Scrapple is, it browns, it almost blackens, and I'm going to show you that to you in a minute. But I should probably turn this thing off, if I can figure out how. There should be a stop. There's a cancel. There we go. Man, that's annoying after a while. Turn my heat off. So it darkens up quite a lot. Here's our 2 regular. And there's our pieces of bacon Scrapple. See if I can get this up to the camera without dumping it off of the plate. That would be embarrassing. So you can see it gets, yeah, this is what I have seen from other photographs, other videos of Scrapple, is it, you know, it gets real dark, a little bit of crusty on it. And that's it. You can see how, I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, this one is cracked. Like I say, you got to handle it kind of gingerly, because it's, you know, it's not bound real hard. But that is our fried Scrapple. So it takes about 16 minutes. And now I suppose I have to eat some of this. And I hate to sound so trepidatious, but I've never had this before. And it's not like I don't trust Beverly, except that, well, I don't. And she made me some toast while we were cooking this. Put that on the toast. And I think I'm going to kind of fold that over so I can get a hold of it a little bit. Yeah, and she's warning me there. You can hear her. That I'm going to burn my little self. I've been pushing food in this pie hole for almost 6 decades, dear. I think I can handle it. Now this is the regular. Again, to my palate, it tastes a lot like pork sausage patties. It might be, it's a little finer because of the way it's ground. But taste-wise, I think you would find it very reminiscent of pork sausage. Oh, yeah, it's hot. So I've learned something about life. This explains why Bev is so fond of this, and I've never been thrilled about it, because Bev is a big fan of pork sausage patties. So, grab a fresh piece of toast, and I'm going to see if I can get a hold of one of the bacon-infused ones. Which she tells me, at least in the commercial brand, is better. It is. It's got that smoky bacon flavor. If you can picture a taste of pork sausage patty with bacon ground up in it, I think that would be a reasonable explanation, facsimile of what you could expect. Isn't that fun to sit around and watch me eat, folks? Yeah, this one I do like somewhat better. Now, for those of you that are wondering about this, again, it's available, at least in this part of the country, in most of the major grocery stores. And they're 1 pound packages. You're looking at around $3, give or take half a dollar, depending on the part of the country and what store you go to, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes you'll find it on sale, 2 for $5. We have. So, yeah, about $3 a pound. So, relatively inexpensive food stuff, certainly for being a meat thing. And I don't find it objectionable at all. I mean, again, I'm not a huge fan of pork sausage. Pork sausages, but not so much the patties or links, the breakfast kind. But it's certainly, I mean, it's good. And I know there's going to be, if you like that sort of, those flavors with the herbs that they put in that, whether it's sage or whatever, that you'd find this very, very, very pleasant. Not hard to cook, not hard to anything about it. I mean, put it in a pan, 8 minutes, flip it over, 8 minutes, and away you go. But it does have a very breakfasty kind of flavor about it, so I now understand why. Now, in the next episode, which should be out this week, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make Scrapple from a pork butt. And that's going to be a much longer video. Hopefully we can show you, how it all comes together. It's going to take us a while to film because you have to cook the pork and then it's got to cool and you got to grind it up and all the things with the ingredients, and then it has to be chilled in a loaf pan, like a bread pan, in the refrigerator until it sets up into the block that you saw with these. So anyway, that's Scrapple. I would love to hear what you think about this. If you've ever had it, if you haven't had it, if it sounds appealing or doesn't sound appealing, or if you know anything more about the history of it, that would certainly be fun. Even if you just want to stop in and say hi, I would love to have you drop down to the comment section below and leave me a message. I love hearing from everybody. I really do. The interaction with all of you is really what this is mostly about. It's the community we're building and the friendships we're building. So please drop in, say hi, give us a comment. I love hearing from you. If you're new here, also leave a comment, of course, but pick subscribe and come along for the adventure because we got lots more to show you. And as always, thanks for watching.